Yeah, so at least for me, what it comes down to is number one, the 30K area is just like epic support between 25.5 and 30K point five. That's the low from the bull market when we had that big kind of dip in between the 65 and 69 highs. And so on a psychological point, that is your wall. That's your brick wall, your stone wall, whatever you want to call it. So this is the big test for me. I still don't believe that the low is in yet, but if we were to get above 30,500-ish and actually hold there for, let's say, a week or so, then I think at that point, you got to start talking about Bitcoin low being the 15.7 level, and that could be it.
Hello and welcome to Crypto Street. In today's video, founder and chief market strategist at InTheMoneyStocks.com and Verified Crypto Investing, Gareth Soloway updates about Bitcoin's current market standing, the final bottom in crypto, and his outlook for Bitcoin in 2023.
Yeah, so I was short around the 25,000 level on a few different coins. When we had that dip below 20K on Bitcoin, did some covering and actually flipped it into some longs, rode that up, not all the way up here to this level, but I rode it up decently, and now the only two positions I have out there right now, I have a tiny position, a starter position short on Ethereum, and a starter position short on Bitcoin. So
What kind of time
basically at this point,
there, if you don't
what's
mind
that?
asking? What kind of time are these like trades you're entering just for the day? Kind of time frames we talking about that you're
Oh, these would be swing trades. So I'm basically going with the resistance is resistance until it's broken, right? So
Okay.
so as of now, like it's so interesting, right? You go on Twitter, everyone's like the $1 million price target in 3 months, like oh, it's a new bull market, and I'm like it might be, but when you're slammed into a brick wall of resistance, I got to take the under here that it's going to pull back until it proves me wrong, right? So I think for me, I'm a show me the money type guy where it's got to prove itself first. Just Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. The alts, it's interesting because, and this is one of the things that I'm curious about with money flow, is that yes, we've seen money flow going into Bitcoin and Ethereum predominantly, right? If you look at the charts on those two, they've made short-term higher highs, while something like a Polygon or a Solana or an Avalanche, they haven't. So there's definitely this money flow that's being driven in because of the bank crisis. The question is, if that continues to calm down, do we see any of that money being pulled out? Like if you look at the Bitcoin dominance, right? Bitcoin dominance is massively up right now because we're the recipient of this money from the panic in the banks. Yeah, I looked at Cardano. It's had a nice little pop here. It's actually coming into resistance. I have a resistance around 42 cents. So 42 cents. It's got another penny and a half to go, but it's had a nice little push up, no doubt about that.
Let's take a look.
If we do see the crisis expand, which it's hard to believe that it wouldn't, right? I mean, you have all this paper that was printed, and it's all at like 0.5% interest, 2%, 1%, whatever it is. I mean, it's all garbage at this point. I mean, and how does that not spread? And these banks are sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars in losses that are paper losses. They don't actually have to report them because they're paper losses.
Right.
But I mean, and to me, it's going to create a chain reaction, right? So then the banks stop lending as much, which then creates the economy to slow even more. In fact, doing what the Fed kind of wants, although my guess is it'll overdo it. And then we get into a recession. We're in a recession. Inflation remains relatively elevated, and then it's a party from there on out.
So in a lot of there was more deposits in Chase Bank than ever before, basically. And I'm just kind of making that up, but because I don't know the numbers. But I read that people doing bank runs and they're switching banks. The number one bank they went to was with Jamie Dimon at Chase Bank. Did you run on your bank a little bit, bro?
I did not, but again, I didn't have money at any of these regional banks, so I didn't feel compelled to like pull money out. In addition, where am I going to put it, right? Like if I'm pulling it out of JPM or Bank of America, where am I putting it? I'm not going to put it under my mattress.
A couple places. Why not? That's one of my favorite places.
That's all I need.
Mattress firm, baby. Like my mattress firm for the woman and the cash. You know what I'm saying?
Oh goodness, man. But yeah, I mean, so it's one of those tricky situations where it's what do you do? Where do you go if I mean, and that's why that's why JP Morgan is too big to fail, right? They by the way, they were supposed to fix that back in 2009. They were
fix what? Too big to fail.
Right. It was like, all right, let's never let this happen again. make these banks so they can fail, because it's not right to have, entities that can't fail, because then they can do all these things that they shouldn't do. And then here we are again.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're way bigger. They're way bigger than they were in 2009.
Are they? I haven't looked at the numbers, but I believe it. Although I don't know if you account for inflation. But do you remember the numbers from 2008 compared to the numbers?
No, I just know that,
Right.
when the Fed prints $9 trillion, you know where the recipients are, where they're actually going, where that money, at least half that money is probably going into those banks. All right, so this is the daily gold chart, right? So we have a pretty nice pendant, wedge, whatever you want to call it. Notice how it's consolidating above this downsloping trend line too. So that's kind of, to me, that's kind of setting up for the next breakout, which then takes us to this high pivot right here, which is you had on your chart too. That's at 2075. That'll be some resistance, right? You expect a small pullback there, but my guess is, considering how many times we've hit this level up here, at some point we pop through. And then the question is, how high does it go? Really, one of the best ways to play a gold breakout this year is actually by buying, in my opinion, the miners. And the reason I say the miners is because last year they underperformed, right? Inflation was sky high. The price of gold wasn't going up to compensate, so they were actually getting crushed on their margins. This year, you have inflation coming down, gold price going up. They should actually outperform. So the miners, in my opinion, are probably...
What miners do you like? You like the Parkers? What? Give us a couple of 3-letter, 4-letter.
I mean, Newmont Mining, Barrick Gold, they're kind of the more trusting ones, just to be safe. I think the other way too is like a GDX, right, where you diversify amongst a lot of them. This way you don't have any specific risk. But yeah, those would be some interesting ones right there. I am long nat gas right now. I will admit that.
Ooh, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. By the way, nice little pop today too.
Yeah, next.
A little pop ski.
Yeah.
So
Gabby, how much lower can it go, dude? Oil's down, or not oil's, the price of gas is back up to like $4.50 or something.
I know, man. You gotta figure nat gas has some sort of run in it. So, and by the way, I mean, natural gas is just such a volatile commodity, but yeah, today alone it's up 6%. So nice little pop there. Good to see that.
Good one.
And then with Bitcoin, I'll show you guys what we were talking about earlier. Whoops. All right, so basically what I was referring to is this area back here where you have the midpoint of that bull cycle in 2021. And look at all these lows here. So psychologically, that is a major hurdle to get back above. And you can even see over here how we held it, and then finally it gave way. So on the reverse side, now we're underneath, we're hammering from the bottom side. So for me, this to me is like probably the biggest level in the Bitcoin chart from high to low in terms of, can we get above it, or do we fail and start to trend back down? So that's why I say, like, for me at least, it's a small short position. Nothing crazy yet. I might add around 30,000, but if it breaks above, that's a different story. If it's able to hold above, but right now this is like the epic level of resistance.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about Gareth Soloway's prediction? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.